If you're one unexpected expense away from panic, you need exactly $5,000 in the bank. Not $10,000, not $20,000, $5,000. That's the number that transforms how you sleep, how you negotiate, and how you make every financial decision. Most people think financial milestones are arbitrary numbers that exist to make them feel inadequate. But there's actual psychology and mathematics behind why $5,000 specifically creates a dramatic shift in your daily existence. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what changes when you hit this milestone, why it's more achievable than the often cited $10,000 goal, and the specific roadmap to get there, even if you're starting from zero. Let me start with why $5,000 instead of the conventional wisdom of $10,000. The traditional financial advice says you need 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. For most Americans, that's $10,000 to $20,000. But here's the problem with that advice. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, $10,000 feels impossible. It's so far away that you never start. You tell yourself you'll save when you earn more, when expenses decrease, when life gets easier. That someday never comes. $5,000 is different. It's large enough to provide real security, but small enough to feel achievable within a reasonable time frame. Most people can reach $5,000 in 12 to 24 months with focused effort. That's not abstract future planning. That's a concrete goal you can visualize completing. But the psychological impact of $5,000 is disproportionate to the dollar amount. Let me break down the 3 immediate changes that happen the moment you cross this threshold. Change 1. Your stress response to unexpected expenses transforms completely. When you have zero savings, every unexpected cost triggers fight or flight response. Your car needs $800 in repairs. Your laptop dies and replacement costs $900. Your dog needs emergency vet care for $650. Without savings, these aren't just expenses, they're catastrophes. Your body floods with cortisol. You can't sleep. You're calculating whether to put it on a credit card, borrow from family, or somehow patch together the money from next month's bills. With $5,000 in the bank, these same situations become manageable inconveniences. You're annoyed, not panicked. You handle the expense, your account drops to $4,200, and you know you'll rebuild it over the next few months. This shift from panic to annoyance might seem subtle, but it has ripple effects throughout your entire life. Lower chronic stress means better sleep. Better sleep means improved decision-making at work. Better decisions means stronger job performance. Stronger performance often leads to raises and opportunities. The $5,000 doesn't just protect you from emergencies, it creates a positive cycle that accelerates your financial progress. Change 2. Your negotiating position in every transaction improves dramatically. When you're financially desperate, everyone can sense it. Employers know you can't afford to walk away from a bad offer. Landlords know you need the apartment. Car salespeople know you need transportation now. This desperation costs you thousands of dollars over time through worse deals and missed negotiations. With $5,000 saved, you're no longer desperate. You can afford to walk away from a job offer that doesn't meet your requirements. You can take time finding the right apartment instead of accepting the first available option. You can shop around for cars instead of taking whatever financing you can get. This confidence doesn't make you reckless, it makes you strategic. You're still careful with money, but you're operating from security rather than fear. That shift in positioning often results in better salaries, better terms, and better overall deals that compound over your lifetime. Change 3. Your decision-making shifts from survival mode to strategic mode. When every dollar matters for basic survival, you can't think long-term. You're focused on making it through this week, this month, this immediate crisis. Strategic financial thinking requires mental bandwidth that survival mode doesn't allow. With $5,000 providing a cushion, you can finally think beyond immediate survival. Maybe you notice your car insurance renewal and actually have time to shop around for better rates instead of just accepting whatever arrives. Maybe you realize your phone plan is expensive and you can switch without worrying about the temporary gap in service. Maybe you can take advantage of bulk purchasing when items go on sale instead of buying small quantities at higher per-unit costs. These optimizations individually save $20 or $50 or $100, but they compound over years into thousands of dollars that make every subsequent financial goal easier to reach. Let me show you what this looks like in real life with specific numbers. Jessica is 29 and earns $54,000 annually. 2 years ago, she had $200 in savings and was living paycheck to paycheck. Every month felt like walking a financial tightrope where one misstep meant disaster. When her car needed $750 in repairs, she put it on a credit card at 19% interest. When her laptop died, she financed a replacement through the electronics store at 24% APR. When her cat needed emergency care, she borrowed $500 from her sister. These weren't catastrophic individual events, but they created a cycle. The debt payments consumed money that could have gone to savings. The lack of savings meant the next unexpected expense also went on credit. The cycle reinforced itself. Jessica's turning point came when she committed to saving $5,000. Not $10,000, not 3 months of expenses, just $5,000. She started with $100 monthly. After 4 months, she increased to $150 monthly. After 8 months, she got a small raise and bumped it to $200 monthly. Some months, she could only manage $75. 1 month, she had an unexpected $300 tax refund that went straight to savings. 22 months later, she hit $5,000. Her account balance read $5,047. The immediate psychological shift surprised her. She described it as finally being able to breathe. She stopped checking her account balance obsessively. She stopped lying awake calculating worst-case scenarios. She stopped making financial decisions from a place of fear. 3 months after hitting $5,000, her car needed $680 in repairs. For the first time in her adult life, she paid cash. Her account dropped to $4,367. She felt annoyed about the expense, but not panicked. She rebuilt to $5,000 again within 4 months. 6 months after hitting $5,000, she negotiated a job change that increased her salary by $8,000 annually. She told me later that she never would have had the confidence to negotiate aggressively or walk away from a lower offer without that savings cushion. Jessica's story illustrates something critical. The $5,000 didn't solve all her financial problems. She still had student loans. She still rented an apartment. She still drove a 10-year-old car. But the $5,000 changed the trajectory. Now, let me address the psychological element that most financial advice ignores. Building savings isn't primarily about willpower or sacrifice. It's about identity. Most people approach saving like a temporary diet. They cut expenses dramatically, save aggressively for a few months, then burn out and revert to old patterns. This fails because they're trying to change behavior without changing identity. The people who successfully build savings don't think of themselves as temporarily saving money. They think of themselves as people who have savings. That identity shift changes every financial decision. When you identify as someone who maintains savings, you start noticing opportunities to reduce expenses that you never saw before. You become more creative about additional income. You think long-term instead of just immediate gratification. The beautiful part about this identity shift is that it gets easier over time. Saving your first $1,000 requires significant lifestyle changes and constant conscious effort. But saving your second $1,000 is noticeably easier because you've already developed the habits and mindset. By the time you're working toward your fourth or fifth $1,000, the behaviors feel natural rather than forced. Let me give you the specific roadmap to $5,000 because general advice helps nobody. Step 1. Calculate your target monthly savings amount. If you want to reach $5,000 in 2 years, you need to average roughly $210 monthly. If you want to reach it in 18 months, you need approximately $280 monthly. If you can push to reach it in 1 year, you need about $420 monthly. Pick a time frame that feels challenging but achievable based on your current income and expenses. Don't pick an impossible number that guarantees failure. Pick a stretch goal you can actually hit. Step 2. Open a separate high-yield savings account specifically for this goal. Do not keep this money in your checking account. The separation is psychological. When the money sits in checking, it feels available for spending. When it sits in a separate savings account, it feels designated for a specific purpose. Name the account something meaningful: $5,000 Freedom Fund, Emergency Security Account, Financial Foundation. The name matters because it reinforces the identity and purpose. Step 3. Automate the transfer the day after each paycheck. Automation removes willpower from the equation. You're not making a monthly decision whether to save. The money moves automatically, and you adjust your spending to what remains. Start with whatever amount you calculated in Step 1. If that feels impossible, start with half that amount and commit to increasing it in 3 months. Starting small is infinitely better than not starting at all. Step 4. Track your progress visibly. Create a simple spreadsheet or use a savings tracking app. Watching the number grow creates positive reinforcement that makes continuing easier. Every month that you see progress, you're strengthening the identity of someone who builds savings. Some people use visual trackers, coloring in squares on a chart as they reach each $100 milestone. The specific method matters less than having some way to see progress regularly. Step 5. Plan for the inevitable setbacks. You will have months where unexpected expenses prevent you from hitting your savings target. Your car will need repairs. Medical bills will arrive. Life will interrupt your perfect plan. This is normal. The people who successfully reach $5,000 don't have perfect months. They have persistence through imperfect months. If you need to pause contributions for 1 month to handle an emergency, you pause. Then you resume the following month. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is directional consistency over time. Step 6. Celebrate milestones without sabotaging progress. When you hit $1,000, acknowledge it. When you reach $2,500, recognize the achievement. When you cross $5,000, celebrate appropriately. But don't celebrate by immediately spending the money on something unrelated. The celebration should reinforce the behavior, not undo it. Maybe you allow yourself one nice meal out. Maybe you buy one book you've wanted. Small acknowledgement that doesn't derail progress. Now let me address what happens after you reach $5,000, because the milestone isn't an ending, it's a beginning. Once you hit $5,000, you face a choice. Many people plateau at this level. They maintain the $5,000 cushion, but don't build beyond it. This isn't necessarily wrong. Having $5,000 provides substantial security compared to having nothing. But the momentum you built reaching $5,000 makes the next $5,000 significantly easier. The habits are established. The identity is formed. The systems are in place. You're just continuing what you've already proven you can do. The people who leverage this momentum often reach $10,000 faster than they reach the initial $5,000. Then $15,000 comes faster still. The compound effect isn't just about money earning interest. It's about identity and habits compounding to make continued progress feel natural rather than difficult. Let me give you realistic timeframes based on different income levels, because I know the question you're asking is whether this is actually achievable for you. If you earn $35,000 annually and can save $150 monthly, you'll reach $5,000 in 33 months. That's under 3 years. Not fast, but faster than never reaching it. If you earn $50,000 annually and can save $250 monthly, you'll reach $5,000 in 20 months. Less than 2 years. If you earn $70,000 annually and can save $400 monthly, you'll reach $5,000 in 12.5 months. Just over 1 year. These aren't theoretical, these are achievable timelines for focused savers at these income levels. The difference between someone who builds this security and someone who doesn't usually isn't income. It's awareness and intentionality. Most people have more flexibility in their budgets than they realize once they start tracking spending carefully. The average American household spends over $250 monthly on dining out and convenience purchases. I'm not suggesting you should never eat at a restaurant, but I am pointing out that redirecting even one-third of typical convenience spending would fund most of these savings goals. Let me show you where most people actually find the money to save, because you're probably thinking you don't have an extra $200 or $300 monthly just sitting around. The first place is subscription creep. Most people pay for services they barely use or forgot they have. Streaming services, app subscriptions, gym memberships, software renewals. The average person has 4 to 6 subscriptions they could eliminate without noticing any real impact on their life. That's typically $60 to $120 monthly right there. The second place is convenience premium. The difference between cooking at home versus eating prepared food, making coffee versus buying it, packing lunch versus purchasing it. You don't need to eliminate all convenience, but shifting from convenience for every meal to convenience for some meals frees up $100 to $200 monthly for most people. The third place is the upgrade cycle. The automatic assumption that you need the newest phone, the latest laptop, the upgraded car every few years. Breaking the upgrade cycle and using things until they actually stop functioning, rather than when something newer exists, can free up substantial money. Instead of a $40 monthly phone payment, you keep your current phone another 2 years and bank that $40. That's $480 annually toward your $5,000. The fourth place is the small daily purchases that feel insignificant individually but compound dramatically. The $6 lunch upgrade instead of bringing food from home, the $4 coffee instead of making it, the $12 convenience store snack run. These don't feel like savings opportunities because each instance is small, but $5 daily in reduced convenience spending is $150 monthly. That's $1,800 annually. I'm not suggesting you need to eliminate all joy from your life and live on rice and beans in a dark room. I'm pointing out that most people have $200 to $300 monthly of low-value spending that could be redirected toward a high-value goal without dramatically impacting actual quality of life. Now, let me address the 3 most common mistakes that sabotage people trying to reach $5,000. Mistake 1. Setting an impossible savings rate and burning out within 3 months. Someone earning $40,000 decides they're going to save $800 monthly to reach $5,000 in 6 months. This requires cutting spending so dramatically that they can't sustain it. They last 2 months, maybe 3, then burn out completely and abandon saving altogether. The better approach is starting with a sustainable amount, even if it feels small. $100 monthly gets you to $5,000 in just over 4 years. That feels slow, but it's infinitely faster than the $0 you accumulate by setting impossible goals and quitting. You can always increase the amount later once the habit is established. But establishing the habit requires starting with something sustainable. Mistake 2. Keeping the emergency fund in checking or easily accessible accounts. The money needs to be separate and slightly inconvenient to access. Not so inconvenient that you can't get it in a real emergency, but inconvenient enough that you don't casually spend it on non-emergencies. A high-yield savings account at a different bank works well. You can transfer money if truly needed, but it takes a day or 2. That delay prevents impulse spending while keeping the money accessible for actual emergencies. Mistake 3. Not defining what constitutes an emergency. Without clear criteria, everything becomes an emergency. The $80 concert tickets become an emergency because your friends are going. The $200 new shoes become an emergency because they're on sale. Define emergency clearly before you need to make the decision. Car repairs necessary for transportation to work qualify. Medical expenses qualify. Job loss qualifies. Wanting something you didn't plan for doesn't qualify. Having this definition established when you're calm prevents you from rationalizing non-emergencies as emergencies when emotions are running high. Here's what nobody tells you about the $5,000 milestone. The majority of the benefit doesn't come from eventually spending the money, it comes from knowing the money is there. This is what financial security actually means. Not the ability to buy whatever you want. The ability to handle whatever happens without panic. Most people who build $5,000 in savings never spend it on emergencies. Instead, they spend it on opportunities. They invest in education that increases earning potential. They relocate for better jobs. They have the mental space to pursue career advancement because they're not consumed by survival mode thinking. The $5,000 doesn't make you rich, it makes you stable. And stability is the foundation every other financial achievement is built on. If you're currently staring at a bank balance under $500, the path to $5,000 might seem impossible. But it's not. It's a series of small, consistent choices repeated over time. Every person with $5,000 saved started with zero. The only difference between you and them is that they started and maintained consistency through imperfect months. You can start today. Open the savings account. Set up the automatic transfer. Track your first deposit. Celebrate your first $100. Then keep going. The transformation that happens when you reach $5,000 isn't just about the money. It's about becoming someone who has financial security. And that identity creates ripple effects that extend far beyond your bank account balance.